All right, hello students. Today we're going to do notes on our Desmos lessons, 7.604, 7.605, and 7.606. All right, here are objectives. I'd like you to read those. For time reasons, I'm going to speed up here, so if you could read those, that'd be great. All right, let's start by writing a tape diagram to represent a situation. A UPS worker weighs 4 identical packages for Amazon and a 7-pound box from Target. Altogether, they weigh 43 pounds. So let's represent that. Well, first, I'm going to write my 43 right here for the whole tape. And then I'm going to go over here and make sure I take care of the Target box. Love Target. But I know that I need four identical boxes for Amazon. So what I'll do is make sure I cut this into 4, and each X is going to represent the weight of an Amazon box. So I wrote 4X because I have 4 X's, and then I said plus 7, that's my Target box, and that all adds up to 43. All right, now, how would I solve this? Well, what would I get rid of first? Well, I would get rid of this 7, and I would take 7 away from 43, and what I'd be left with is 36. 36, once I cut that 7 off the end, I have 4 X's are worth 36 pounds. Now, because they're all the same, I could do 36 divided by 4, and 36 divided by 4 is 9. That means, what does it mean? That one Amazon package, so one Amazon box equals 9 pounds. Our next example is having to do with CMS breakfast bags. All right, each breakfast bag contains a cup of yogurt, and the cook added a free sample, 5-ounce sample of a tube called Orange Whip to each bag. Important word, each. There are 6 breakfast bags, and they add up to 72 ounces of yogurt. How many ounces in each? Well, I know that 72 is my total. Now, the other thing I know is that I have 6 bags. So what I'm going to do is cut this into 6 sections, and each section will represent a bag. Now, I know that I have a cup. I have a cup of yogurt in each bag, but I also have this 5-ounce tube. So I'm going to add the 5. So I added my 5 ounces. All right, well, because I have 6 bags, my equation, I have 72 equals 6 times parentheses, and that the parentheses is like my bag, C plus 5, okay? Well, what I could do is divide 72. I could do 72 divided by 6 to find out how much does one bag have of yogurt. So 72 divided by 6 is 12. And I have 12 ounces are in one bag. And remember, the bag is my parentheses, C plus 5. Well, how do I get rid of a plus 5? I can minus 5. 12 minus 5 is 7. All right, so what does it mean? There are 7 ounces equals one of the cups that they put in the bag. All right, we are going to review a hanger problem. Here's a hanger problem. So let's do our equation. Well, first I'm going to count my total here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So I have 16 weights or ounces on that side. Now on this side, I see 2 X's and 2, 4, 6, 8 ounces there. All right, how can I solve this? You guys are really good at this. All right, in class today, kids said, well, I cross stuff off. Cross off these. Well, if you cross that off, it's like subtracting 8, and 16 minus 8 is 8, and 8 equals 2 X's. So I have 8 Right here I have 8, and that is matched up with 2x's. So we could go like this and divide that 8 by 2, do 8 divided by 2, and I get 4. 4, and you can see it right here, 4 equals 1x. Here's another hanger problem. I chose this one because I like how it's set up. So let's do this. We have how many? We have x plus 20 and x plus 20. So one way to write this is 2 groups of x plus 20. Okay, we have x plus 20 in one group, and here's a second group. And that adds up to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so 120. That adds up to 120. Now, one thing we explored in Desmos was we could cut this in half. If I cut that in half, which would be like dividing by 2, and I do 120 divided by 2, I get 60. There are 60 right here. And I have an x plus 20. So let me write that. X plus 20, which is just like my parentheses, equals 60. How do I get rid of that 20? I'm going to cross it off. So I'm going to cross that 20 off. And when I cross that 20 off, it's like subtracting it. I get x equals 60 minus 20 is 40. And if you want, you can see it right here. 20 plus 20, that's 40. So x equals 40. All right, I want you to try. So hit pause. You try this one and see if you got the same answer as I did. Okay, there's 2 ways to write this. One way is to group this side into 3 groups of x plus 2. We have x plus 2, x plus 2. So I wrote it like this. We have 3 groups of x plus 2. Another way is just do a total. I have 3 x's, yeah, right there, and I have 6 ones right here. Both very good ways, okay? All right, now we're going to solve it. All right, what I did was I cut this into 3 groups, and I focused in on one group. One group has 3 equaling x plus 2. So 3 equals x plus 2. We know the answer, but I could cross off these 2, and there it is. I have x equals 1. That cancels. I have x equals 1. All right, I'm giving you permission to skip this page. So make sure when you cross off, you're crossing off the one that has the 2 identical problems. 9 equals 3 times parentheses x plus 2. Let's cross that off. Let's go to the next slide. All right, let's make a hanger problem for this. And if you remember on Desmos, what we did on the hanger problem, eventually we didn't have like a bunch of ones. We just did a big rectangle and wrote 68. We didn't do 68 ones. So this is what it looked like. All right, it would look a little like this. I have 4 x's, and I have an 8. Now, what would I get, and I have 68 to balance it on the other side. What would I get rid of first? Well, I can hear you, kind of. You would say, get rid of that 8. So I'm going to minus 8 from 68. So my new weight will only weigh 60 because I did 68 minus 8. Now, the other side still has 4 x's on it. Okay. So this still has 4 x's. All right, well, I could divide 60 into 4 equal things. So 60 divided by 4, and each section of that would be worth 15. 60 divided by 4 is 15. So if I solve it, I get x equals 15. All right, on this page, we're going to revisit mystery number and algebraic ways of solving. All right, so if we look, I set this up. I'm thinking of a number, I multiply it by 8, and I get a new number, and I minus 13. And my final answer is negative 11. So let's go backwards. So how do I get rid of this minus 13? How do I undo that? What is the inverse? Okay, I can hear you. Plus 13. Now, 13, go down 11. That leaves us at 2. How do I get rid of multiply 8? Let's do the inverse. The inverse of multiply 8 would be divide 8. Now, this is tricky because we're doing 2 divided by 8. 2 divided by 8 is 0.25, or 1/4. Okay, 1/4, or 0.25. All right, algebraically, I would look at this and I would say, well, how do I get rid of a minus 13? And when I minus 13, or I said that wrong. How do I get rid of minus 13? I would add 13. Sorry about that mistake. Add 13. Well, negative 11 plus 13 is still 2. How would I get rid of multiply 8? I would divide 8, and 2 divided by 8 is 1/4, which is 0.25. I got the same answer. Let's look at our next example. We have 6 multiplied to the difference, or the parentheses, x minus 5, and that equaled negative 54. So I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to put the parentheses in this box, and what am I doing to it? I'm multiplying it by 6. How do I get it to go backwards, or inverse? What I will do is divide by 6. So if I do negative 54 divided by 6, I get negative 9. Now notice I'm writing it right here, okay? So I'm going to take this x and say I have a number x and I minus 5. So I'm just going to put that right here. Watch me here. So I have x and I minus 5 from it. I got that from right there. Well, how do I make it go back? How do I get rid of minus 5? Well, what I'll do is I'll go like this and I'll add 5. Now, negative 9 plus 5 equals negative 4. And that's my answer. That's what x equals. If we do it algebraically, I would say, how do I get rid of multiply 6? And the answer is divide 6. And I get negative 9. And negative 9, this cancels. X minus 5 is negative 9. I would say, how do I get rid of a minus 5? And, yep, it's the same steps. I add 5. And then right here, I have negative 9 plus 5. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4, and that equals my variable, x. Okay, we're almost there. All right, you try, okay? So again, hit the pause button, try, and then I will solve it. And you can check. Hit pause. All right, did you set it up like this? I'm thinking of a number. I multiply by negative 7, and I add 9 and get 44. Real quick, how do I get rid of add 9? I subtract. 44 minus 9 is 35. How do I get rid of multiply negative 7? I know that's kind of bad. Sorry about that. Here, multiply negative 7. The way I get rid of that is I divide negative 7. 35 divided by negative 7 is negative 5. If you did it algebraically, right here. Okay? All right, if you set it up, you could set it up like this. If you do that, the way you get rid of multiply 8 is divide 8. Negative 64 divided by 8. That is a negative 64. Make it nicer, sorry. That's negative 8. Then come over here and you say, I'm thinking of a number and I minus 5 from it. So how do we go back? How do we get rid of that minus 5? We're going to add 5. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. Okay, algebraically. All right, algebraically, I divide both sides by 8, and I get, oh, mistake. Sorry, guys, I caught it. I am going fast. That's a bad habit. All right, so negative 64 divided by 8 is negative 8. How do I get rid of that minus 5? I can hear you. You add 5. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. And guess what? Same answer. Okay, I hope this helped. Hopefully you can zoom in if it's hard to see. Okay, thank you, bye.